Crazy Talks with Wise People is here again. This is Mary Angela Murtak, your host for this show. As you can see, we've got a gorgeous, lovely woman in our show today. And I would like you to stay put because I will be interviewing her. And she's a genuine ambassador. Like what I've told you, our interviewees in this show are genuine. They are not just appointed, like the ambassadors are not, she's not just appointed by any random person. She's been appointed by her head of state. Okay, you must be very, very excited to hear, okay, from her. So she is the president of the UNESCO General Conference, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Delegate of Romania to UNESCO. She served as representative of the UN Secretary General and head of the UN in Belgrade from 2015 to 2020. Immediately after finishing her term as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Representative of Romania to the United Nations from 2008 to 2015. During her term in New York, she held several positions, including Vice President of the UNICEF Executive Board, Vice President of the Assembly States Parties to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, Vice President of the Bureau of the Francophonie, Chair of the Special Political and Decolonization Committee of the General Assembly during its 66th session. She is also Vice President of the United Nations General Assembly for its 68th session and Chair of the 53rd session of the UN Commission for Social Development. She's been a diplomat for 32 years. She served as spokesperson for the Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, senior media advisor to the minister from 1993 and 1999, director of the press department within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1994 and 2008, as press secretary of the Romanian Embassy in Washington, D.C., and as senior public information officer at the mission of OSCE in Kosovo, 1999-2000. I cannot be more than honored to be welcoming our highly esteemed guest for today, Her Excellency Simona-Mirela Miculescu. Ma'am, Her Excellency, welcome to you, and thank you so much for your time. Would you like to greet our audience, please, ma'am?
Of course. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to everybody who listens, watches your podcast. I like to think that there are young people who are listening to this, because actually I love to mentor the younger generation. My more than 32, actually 34 years of career were full of experiences that can be very useful to the young aspirants to a diplomatic career. I would add to your presentation a couple of things which were very important in my career. I was actually, between 2000 and 2004, foreign policy advisor to the President of Romania, which is the most important, one of the most important positions for a diplomat. And I became also the first woman in the history of Romania to get the diplomatic rank of ambassador, because there are two types of positions of ambassador, the proper ones, not the ones that some people who abuse of this term give to themselves. You have the diplomatic rank of ambassador, which is actually the peak of the career of a career diplomat, which means that, like the generals in the army, this is the top of the rank that you can get in your career.
As a
So I'm
diplomat.
not ambassador only for 4 years, like
Yeah.
I'm appointed by the president,
Yeah.
nominated by the president to have the function of ambassador, like for instance now as ambassador of Romania to UNESCO, but I'm ambassador for the rest of my life because I have the diplomatic rank of ambassador. Second, another experience that was very important
diplomatic rank.
in the series that you presented is the fact that I was also serving for a certain time before my mandate in New York as a senior public information officer in Iraq. And I served the office of the prime minister and the office and several ministries. So these are two moments, I think that they are actually apotheotic in my career before the series that started after that with being ambassador to the UN. But of course, I'm listening to your questions.
Yes, Your Excellency, I might not have written the question beforehand, but based on your presentation, you've been ambassadors to, places like Iraq, Kosovo.
No, I wasn't ambassador in those places. No.
But
my ambassadorial position started in New York.
Oh yeah, that's it. But you then, being an ambassador, being a diplomat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have this impression that it's a male-dominated world.
Well, I can talk, of course, mostly about the experiences that I'm the product of, Romania. There are situations and situations. For instance, in Romania, before the Romanian Revolution in 1989, women weren't allowed to be diplomats. They could be only secretaries in the ministry. So the career diplomat profession for women in Romania started in 1990. What I can tell you is that now, at the level of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, at least in the HQ, there are more than 60% women. But we're talking about a percentage that is, thank God, increasing in terms of management. In this moment, in the capital, in the headquarters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there is a parity. So kind of 50% of the leadership of the ministry are women, which is great. In terms of heads of diplomatic missions, which means ambassadors or consul generals, there are about 36% for the moment. So we are working hard and we are progressing in this respect. But yes, it's still a male-dominated world, which is a reality. I have nothing against male colleagues. I learned a lot from them. And I was many times interviewed around the day of 8th of March, which is the International Women's Day. And I was all the time asked, were you discriminated? Did you face discrimination? Well, I said that most of the difficult moments in my career were kind of generated by women more than by men. So let's not generalize things. It always depends on the human individual.
All right. I tend to agree with that statement. Now, share with us your journey on becoming a diplomat, an ambassador, and the highest level of diplomacy in this world. So that is kind of unimaginable for most of us, but you're there. So, oh my goodness, how did you do it?
Well, nothing, no magic potion, no magic recipe. It's only about hard work, perseverance, continuous personal development, and sacrifice. There is a lot of sacrifice associated with this profession. I mean, personal sacrifice. And I paid the price to it. So whomever is tempted by this career has to be very much aware of the bright side that is presented in a very superficial way to the entire world. Almost nobody imagines the hard work of a diplomat behind the curtains and behind, the lights of or from the spotlights. So there is a luminous side and there is a dark side, of course. And my journey was true, very complex. I never could dream before the Romanian Revolution to become an ambassador of Romania, but yeah, now after 34 years of career in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I can say everything is possible. Every dream can be realized sooner or later. If something that you want badly doesn't happen, it means that it is meant to happen later, maybe in a better version, you know. So there is no magic recipe. It's just this: hard work and perseverance, and never get discouraged by any obstacles, and finding in every difficulty an opportunity, not in every opportunity a difficulty. That's a matter of personal philosophy. If you are not ready for this, try another profession.
Try another profession. You're not called for that, right? If you're not ready, then maybe you're not called for that at the moment.
Not called. You don't have enough qualities for such a profession, and I don't mean only intellectual qualities, but I mean even physical qualities, because, you know, in this position now, I have this double hat as ambassador of Romania to UNESCO and also president of the General Conference, which is the supreme decision body of UNESCO. So I'm representing actually 194 member states in this position. So it is very difficult because I have a double agenda, 2 teams, 2 offices, 4 email accounts, 7 platforms on the social media. So I sleep in an average of 4 or 5 hours per night. So if you're not physically fit, not only intellectually fit, you're doomed. So it is very, very difficult, but it is fascinating. So I wake up every morning excited that another interesting day will start.
You're passionate about your job. You've made mention about, Your Excellency, you made mention about trade-offs. You said a lot of sacrifices. So would you like to share some of the trade-offs?
Well, first of all, when you are a woman and your sacred duty in this world, and actually your main trace in the world, is give birth to new lives.
Yes.
It is a double challenge, because when you think of the diplomatic career, you have to find the right partner to accept the challenges of this career. If you have a boyfriend and you are posted in Washington, D.C., and your boyfriend remains in Bucharest, for instance,
or in France,
and you are at the start of a relationship, of course, we talk a lot about long distance relationships and stuff. Trust me, for a young relationship, it is very challenging, if not almost impossible. So it is important for the young ladies to, whenever they are ready to start a long-term relationship, to be careful with the profession of their partner, with the flexibility and the mobility, professional mobility and flexibility of her partner's profession, because otherwise it is becoming very challenging. Plus, when children, inshallah, come up, you'd better raise them together. And not, for instance, having to leave them behind for at least several months, like I had to do it with my mother. And, you know, because you are missing very important moments of your life with your children. So I think that the main challenge and the main trade-off is this eternal topic of discussion, the balance between the personal and professional life. I don't think that there is a perfect balance. I think that our entire life is devoted to finding the perfect balance. There are moments in which the professional part of the balance will be heavier, and then the personal one constantly. You just have to adapt and find solutions in order to be able to have joys on both sides. My personal life in this moment looks like this. Well, I have 2 adult children, and I'm a grandmother too. My husband lives in Bucharest. I live in Paris. My mother lives in the other corner of Romania. Bucharest is in the southern part. My hometown, where my mother lives, is in the northwestern corner of Romania. My son lives in London. My daughter lives in New York. That's my
your son is
life.
in London. Okay. All right.
So I miss them every day. We are champions of quality time. Actually, you have to learn how to become a champion of quality time if you follow this career. I think it's unavoidable. And I just take every minute, carpe diem is my motto in life. So seize the moment seems to be the essence of my personal life. This would be the major trade-off.
Yeah, absolutely. Family.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was the most exciting part? Because you were talking about, you always seize the moment. So you must always have seized the moment. What were those moments, like you savored, and the exciting moments that you always look forward to in your diplomatic career?
Now that's a question that requires hours. Sorry, I have to fix a little bit the light. Because every chapter in your life comes with exciting moments.
Yes.
I mean, you can imagine that after a communist dictatorship, when you weren't allowed to be a diplomat as a woman, you can imagine how excited I was when I managed to pass the competition to enter the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was an impossible dream that I started in 1991. And it started an absolutely fabulous journey. And each episode of my career meant a lot of excitement and a lot of joys, despite the difficult moments. Because, for instance, when I arrived in Washington, D.C., and I was the first ever press secretary of maybe I should start with the fact that in 93, I became the first woman ever to be the spokesperson of the foreign ministry. So that was a challenge, because men in the ministry weren't used, first of all, to provide public information, because there was no such thing before the Romanian Revolution. There was only confidentiality, secrets. There was no public dimension of the activity of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So that was a challenge, but every challenge brought also excitement, because I became a memorable spokesperson of the foreign ministry, and I adored that job, because I have this very new profession in the new position in the ministry that was meant to provide to the public information about the foreign policy of Romania, and we were at the beginning of this type of profession, so it brought along a lot of excitement. Then when I became the first press secretary ever of the Romanian embassy in Washington, excitement, there were so many things that
I can't imagine.
There were so many things that were very, very difficult, because the image of Romania in 94 in the US meant only orphans or stray dogs. So it was very challenging, but then the excitement of being the author of the first ever official site of Romania on the internet in 1995, when the internet was just at the beginning, is one of the major things that I remember from my career as a diplomat. As press secretary, I couldn't open a bigger and more important window of Romania to the world. So the excitement was there. Then, I don't know, when I try to remember at least one excitement in each chapter, because there were so many joys. And I'm forgetting, again, all the obstacles and all the difficulties, because once they are crowned by joy, you forget. It's like delivering a baby. You suffer a lot, you have contractions, but then when the baby is delivered, you forget about absolutely everything.
Yes, true.
Right?
Yeah.
So in 98, when I arrived in a total chaos in Pristina, Kosovo, immediately after the war, something that I had never faced before, a city that had no administration, no water, no electricity, no rules whatsoever. People cannot imagine what the chaos that can be. And they cannot imagine how lucky they are when they live in normal conditions and in peaceful conditions. The excitement of being able to help a society find its path in a post-conflict situation was absolutely fantastic. Then, I don't know, becoming the foreign policy advisor to the president of Romania, organizing all the visits of the head of state. I had the rank of minister, by the way. Organizing the visits abroad and the visits in Romania of all the kings, queens, and heads of state relevant at that time. Each of it was an excitement or stirred excitement. I mean, you know, I met all the major leaders of the world, but I didn't just you know, shook their hands. I was interacting over official dinners with George Bush, with the King of Jordan, with the King of Sweden. I mean, all the possible, Jacques Chirac, Vladimir Putin, all the major leaders of the world. That was an excitement in itself. The greatest excitement was when I made history. Well, the president of Romania made history when he granted me, for the first time in the Romanian diplomacy history, I'm the first woman to be granted the diplomatic rank of ambassador, as I said, which was, I mean, it was history for me, but also for Romania. Then, thank God, this was just the beginning. Now I have several colleagues who have the rank of ambassador, not only the position of ambassador. Well, after that, after that highest level adrenaline, I needed as much adrenaline as possible after the end of my term and the end of the president's term. So I switched to another type of adrenaline, and I went to Iraq in another post-conflict situation, much, much more difficult, because sometimes we had bombings every day. So in terms of security, it was a balance between life and death, not only between professional and personal life balance. But the excitement, again, of managing to help a nation that is trying to refine its balance in a post-conflict situation is something that I cannot describe. Maybe I will actually talk about this in a book after I retire. Now I have no time, not even to breathe. How about writing books? And not even time to write a diary, unfortunately, but everything is here. So it's very, very difficult not to find excitement in every episode of your life. And then, after I became the first ever woman ambassador of Romania to the UN, 7 years of excitement, because this is actually the most complex ambassadorial position that a diplomat can have. It is absolutely fantastic from the intellectual and professional point of view. And I could, again, tell you for hours stories from those years. And then when I was recruited by the UN Secretary General to become his representative in the Balkans, and 5 years of excitement started. And actually, I was the first Romanian appointed in such a high position. You can imagine what excitement there was. And then I became the first ever Romanian woman to be ambassador to UNESCO, and the first ever Romanian to lead anything in UNESCO, and only the 5th woman in 8 years of the UNESCO history to be the president of the General Conference. Now that's what I'm talking about, excitement. So thank God there is so much excitement in my career and in my life that helps me actually overcome every difficult moment and every exhaustion that, of course, sometimes I reach. Like this morning, for instance, when I slept until very, very late in the morning.
Wow.
I'm trying to stop here because I couldn't stop. So
oh no, we're very willing to listen, and I'm sure a lot of young people there and a lot of, especially university students, they need to listen to you because they need to understand what they're up to if they would aim to have a diplomatic career. Now, so it's full of excitement. I can't imagine like meeting, and then there's this social excitement, there's this intellectual challenge, and there's this social enjoyment, there's this prestige, of course. Do you enjoy the prestige of being called an ambassador? You're being respected by people, and all the perks of being an ambassador, right? You've got these perks of being ambassador.
Well, I would be hypocrite if I didn't say I like it, I enjoy it, but you have all the time to try to stay in touch with reality, okay? Mm-hmm. When I was foreign policy advisor to the president, even if I had organized long tours across the world for the president, every Saturday, when I was in Romania, of course, when I was not traveling with the president,
yes,
I used to go to the university and hold my courses of international public relations, which is a topic that I actually introduced in the Romanian university curricula. And I think that it should be in absolutely every school curricula, because without international public relations skills, you cannot cope in this current world in any profession, not only in diplomacy.
You're right.
So actually the students, the interaction with the students was actually my bridge to reality. So whenever you are, floating in these highest spheres, you have to stay in touch with reality, with reality, with capital R, right?
You're right.
Because otherwise you lose touch, and it becomes dangerous to you. This also applies to politicians. This also applies to anyone who reaches those highest spheres. I'm an adept of reality. That's why, even if I have been spending so much time abroad, I stay in close touch with the Romanian reality. Even here in France, I have to tell you, I'm not watching much of the French news. I'm focusing on the Romanian news because I need to know absolutely every nuance of the dynamics of the Romanian society in order to be able to represent not only its realities, but also its spirit, its evolution. So you have to be very, very, very connected all the time with the reality, and as a diplomat, being connected with the reality of your own country, the country that you represent in the international arena.
Oh gosh, I hope the presidents of, all these countries would listen to this podcast. I like what you said, like keeping your toes on the ground.
Exactly.
Not turning your back from the people you lead. Wow.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm here talking about diplomacy.
Yes. But anyways, I was touched by what you said. And that applies even to politics. You're right. So, Your Excellency, what was the most challenging? Let's talk about challenges this time in terms of career. You've already mentioned about your personal life, family life, the challenges of having a family and a career like this. But in your particular career as a diplomat, what were the most challenging situations?
Well, I'll be honest with you, any professional challenge can be overcome. The personal challenge, because we are still human beings, the personal challenges remain the most profound.
Yeah.
I think that maybe the most difficult moment that I will always remember, but which helped me a lot, and I'm very grateful to it actually, because it was a transformational moment, was the first time I experienced a bombing.
Where?
When I was literally at the frontier between life and death. And when I understood that there is someone up there who decides, not me. Why? So I was working in this campus in Iraq, in Baghdad, during my 1.5 years of being a public communication, senior public communication advisor to the Iraqi government.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there was a very bad security situation at the time, 2006, 2007. So the insurgents would bomb would send mortars from the other side of the river, and we were exactly our campus was exactly next to the American embassy. So we paid the price because some of the mortars, I mean, we could hear, and we were in permanent danger. We were living in trailers that had like 6 layers of sandbags, which of course are not equivalent to bunkers. We didn't have bunkers, but at least the shrapnel could be stopped if the mortars were at a certain distance, but at least the shrapnel, we were protected from the shrapnel. But again, if a mortar would fall on my trailer, nothing would have been useful, right? So when we were announced by radio that a bombing is will come, we were actually in our trailers. We were consigned in our trailers, and you couldn't do anything but wait to see. And this is actually something that transformed my life, to tell you the truth. Until then, I was, this strong woman who would build a prestigious career, managing to have a family, managing to still keep my husband and
a
still
super
raise
woman.
my children.
Yeah.
And then I remembered in my trailer, I had a room and a bathroom. So the human instinct, I went and I was hiding in the bathroom for some reason, even if it didn't count where you were, if the mortar came. Right?
Yes.
So I just had a revelation while sitting there like this. I was afraid. I'm a human being. I might be a superwoman, but I'm afraid, right?
Yeah.
And I realized suddenly that for the first time in my life, I'm waiting for someone else to take the decision for me if I stay or not on this earth. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, that was a transformation moment of my life, which actually fed my subsequent philosophy. I'm very grateful to it. Thank God, God or whomever is up there chose to keep me on this planet for some reason. And I tried to deserve that chance every day since then. So, as I said, my philosophy is whenever you manage to overcome the difficult moment, and you have to do everything possible to be up to the challenge, learn something from each experience, because actually the best lessons are taught by the toughest moments.
The toughest moments. You're right. Okay. So would you like to share another challenging moment that is already mind-blowing, So what happened after? I mean, I have a question, just curious. Did you not have a quarter? Why do you need to live in a trailer in Baghdad?
It was a campus formed of trailers. Everything was a trailer. Our office was in a trailer. Our home was a trailer. So it was a campus that was organized by the respective international company for the work, because we had I was working in international consultancy at the time. It was my only year of working in consultancy and in private sector. For someone who had been working in the public sector for her entire life, it was quite an experience also from this point of view. And actually, I would recommend that. Actually, I recommend it to my Ministry of Foreign Affairs, something that actually the American diplomacy does. They have a program like sabbatical year, but paid by the Ministry of Foreign, by the State Department in the case of Americans, for mid-career diplomats who have been already, spending tens of years in the diplomatic career, to go and try other fields by the way of being connected to reality. So a mid-career American diplomat, and this is what I also recommended to my ministry, is paid to go and work in the office of a senator, being his diplomatic advisor, or to teach at a university, to work in a private company, in order to get connected with the tangible realities of the current world. It is something that I would recommend all the time. That's why I love my career, because it was very atypical. It was not linear, you know. I didn't spend. There are colleagues who spend their like 20 years of their life only in the headquarters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I don't understand that. I think that being a diplomat means exactly when you represent your country abroad. So I recommend not a typical linear career. Try experiences. I am a passionate collectioner of experiences.
I can see.
And this is my wealth, my only wealth, by the way, because I'm not a rich person, but I'm a trillionaire in beautiful moments and exciting moments.
Well, I respect you. If you are into this diplomatic world and you're not rich, that means you're not corrupt and you are respectable. And for that, hats off to you. You should be our cover girl. We are coming up with a magazine, and you should be our cover girl. You're a very principled woman, and that is what we want. That is what we want. People who stand up for morality and values, no matter the heights that they might have reached, they should still keep their toes on the ground.
Absolutely. I mean, and being a mom and being a teacher by background, because this is what I did before the revolution. For me, I'm, for instance, followed mostly by young people. And for me, it's actually a responsibility. I have this reflex of being a mentor all the time. I know that I'm a role model, at least for 5 girls. And even one is enough for me.
Can you mentor me too? Can you mentor me too?
when I finish my term as president of the General Conference. But no, what I meant is that I'm mentoring in the sense that I'm a source of inspiration for them, and it's very important for me. It's a responsibility that I carry, and I'm permanently aware of that. Whatever I do as a diplomat might be followed by at least one girl, and if I inspire one girl, that's fantastic.
You're inspiring me, and you will be inspiring a lot more women in the world through our.
Well, this is what I will try to do after I retire, after this post, because I want to focus on mentoring, on helping the younger generation, helping, of course, the young girls, because I know all the perks, but also all the challenges of a career of a woman. That's why I actually started this year a platform on YouTube called Mentors on Multilateralism, where I have already 6 colleagues ambassadors who are talking about their experiences. So you can reach if you search on YouTube Mentors on Multilateralism. It's my platform, and I will continue with it. But I will continue beyond online.
Send us that YouTube channel so that we can put it down below, because I'm sure a lot of people would like to become an ambassador, and so that they will not fall into this trap of becoming a fake ambassador. So it's good for them to have a real or a genuine role model on how what the processes are and what are the steps they need to do or to make in order for them to be a genuine ambassador. That is very helpful, especially for the young people. Thank you. Wow, Your Excellency, here's another question. Every time I meet very, very successful people, I always ask them of their daily habits, because our daily habits make us. So do you have like daily habits, daily routines that you do?
Well, my daily routine is very atypical, so I'm not sure it serves as a model. Because you can imagine, if I have 2 agendas with my 2 hats, my days are starting very early. Theoretically, my day should start with some workout, I manage this three
Yeah.
times a week, at least 20 minutes. So I wake up very early. I wake up at 6:30 because the earlier you start, the better. Those are precious. That is a precious time that you can use for yourself and for your personal development. Of course, I would love to be able, you know, there is this trend of waking up at 5 a.m. and start with reading 20 minutes and 20 minutes of workout. I cannot wake up at 5 because I go to bed at 2. So I need at least 4 hours of sleep. After that, of course, breakfast, no sugary breakfast, savory breakfast. You know, I'm the adept of the philosophy that, you know, you have to have your breakfast by yourself, share your lunch with your friend. I wouldn't say that give the dinner to the enemy, because you still need some dinner. But anyway, moderation is the key. And I do my reading, unfortunately not a pleasure reading, but another type of pleasure reading, because I need to go through my correspondence before the working hours. Usually I go to the office after 9. The activities at UNESCO start at 10, but you have to be prepared for this. And from 10 on, it can be like we had, for instance, the meetings we have the session of the executive board, which is a very important time for UNESCO, because the executive board held twice a year with sessions that can go from 10 to midnight, discusses and takes decisions on all the important strategic decisions taken by the General Conference, which actually deal with the next future or the present of the organization. So it's a very important session. We started it last Monday. So it can go being in sessions until midnight, but in the meantime, going out and have meetings, because there are a lot of dignitaries who come for these sessions of the executive board. And this is also in general my life as president. There are a lot of ambassadors and dignitaries who come and meet me as president. Every lunch is a working lunch. Almost every dinner is a working dinner. So I don't have like a typical schedule that I could share with you that it's typical for every day of the week. No, because every day of the week depends on the big events that happen in UNESCO. So after I come home, usually at least after 10, because you have cultural events, you have diplomatic dinners, you have sessions of the executive board that can last, even, as I said, they lasted until midnight on Thursday, with the resolutions and negotiations and statements. I have to post, because I have, as I said, the number of my social media platforms doubled, because I have a double hat. So I have to post, and I have tiny teams. I have 2 people on as ambassador, and I have 2 people as president. So nobody can do my job. So I have to post. I'm very careful with my posts, because I'm an expert in international public relations. So I'm very responsible. So I spend a lot of time on posts. So I go to bed very, 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 very late, which I don't recommend. But well, this is what I have to do now. It doesn't mean that it's typical for a diplomat or for an ambassador, but it is a very unusual kind of schedule. I cannot give you a pattern, because there is no pattern in diplomacy, exactly because there is this diversity of events that you have to be part of. And actually, our job doesn't finish at 5. It continues at 5 with the social events or the cultural events of the evening.
Oh, wow. That's so full of ideas. And it poses a lot of questions to people. But one thing, while listening to you, one thing that is popping up my mind is challenging but enjoyable. Okay, 2 keywords: challenging but enjoyable. Now let's go to our last question. If you were to live your life all over again, how would you like it to be, or were there are there some situations you would need to change, or would you like your life to be just as is, and you don't want to adjust some of the situations in the past?
Maybe this is, a professional deformation, as they say. But since I was for so long a spokesperson, and one of the rules in being a great spokesperson is not to respond to hypothetical questions.
Ah, okay.
So
Oh.
trying to respond to your question, there could be so many things that maybe I would have wanted. It just didn't happen. I just appreciate what I have.
Mm-mm.
As I said, my life philosophy is carpe diem. Seize
Mm-mm.
the moment.
Seize the moment.
Appreciate the moment.
Mm-mm.
Of course, maybe I have regrets. So the main regret is that I didn't have more time to spend with my family, right?
Mm-mm.
That's the only huge regret, right?
Mm-mm.
But otherwise, this is a destiny that I was given. I'm trying to honor it. I don't ask myself what I would have done, because I prefer to ask myself what I can do more in order to serve my country, my
Yes.
family, and the world. So
Wow.
you along the years, when you grow older, you realize that you have to conserve your energy and I'm trying to get rid of all the negative vibes and all, regrets and
Yeah,
discouragement. And I'm
yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
conserve my
Yeah.
energy and focus it on
Mm.
positive things,
Oh, perfect.
that I still
Ah,
can do
yeah.
for the society.
No regrets, right? Now,
No,
another, yeah, before we go, because I'm a woman and while I was looking at you, what I had in mind was, does she have a hair designer? Does she have a fashion advisor? Why is she so chic, at her age? And even if she's so stressed, it doesn't it doesn't look as if, her countenance is radiant. Yeah, very chic. I mean,
thank
what's
you.
your secret? Would you like to share it with us?
Well, for sure, I have a hairstylist, but he's in Bucharest.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not in Paris. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot afford a stylist. I'm a diplomat, and especially an Eastern European diplomat. The salaries are very different from the Western diplomats. No, I think it's. I always like to be chic. I think this pertains to the personality of the diplomat. You can be, for instance, a diplomat who likes to be dressed more conservatively. Because I actually dream to be an actress, I have a little bit of a flamboyance typical to the profession. I chose because of this is a very long story, and one day maybe I will tell it. But it was complicated to be an actress on the stage of a theater. But look, destiny brought me to be an actress on the world stage. So I try to be pleasant from all the points of view. I love a touch of color. I love a touch of style. I love to be chic, sometimes to be shock, as they say.
I love that. I love you. I love you. Oh my God.
Well,
I love you.
it's about the personality. It's about the personality, not about things that are planned or
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that are according to the books.
Ah, wow. That's a very good combination. You have this artist personality, but you're
Yeah,
serving in the diplomatic world. That's why you're creative. And one thing admirable with you is that you've already reached places. You've been to higher heights, but you have not forgotten your country.
of
That
course.
to me is very admirable.
But this is the engine of, I mean, when you're a real diplomat, this is the
Mm.
engine, the perpetuum mobile of your life and career. Without loving your country, without devoting everything to serve your country, you're not a real diplomat. This is the essence of the diplomatic profession.
Now I
Loving
have
your
to
country and serving your country and protecting your country and promoting your country.
now I have to zip my mouth because I have to zip my mouth because anyways, you must be the role model of women, of working women, of career women, of diplomats all over the world. Your patriotism is something to be admired and something to be noticed and lived, and lived by all the rest of the diplomats. It is so much an honor, and I cannot thank God enough for touching your heart to be our guest for this show today. And for those of us who are watching, especially, most of us in the career world would like to accept titles of a diplomat. What I have in mind and what I have in my heart is, please give an honor to those people who really worked hard for the title and who are really deserving. And if we do not deserve that title of an ambassador, let's reject it. Because look, this is the story of a genuine ambassador. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And please leave some advice if you would wish to, some few gems of wisdom from you to our viewers.
Well, I have a few rules, let's say, that have been guidelines for me, actually. First of all, not only for diplomacy, but also for success and indeed life.
Mm-hmm.
Building strong and meaningful relationships is key. And they go a long way in defining who you are and if you can get things done. Second, I would say that skills are important in the short run.
Relationships.
Perspectives and reasoned opinions on important issues that shape our world are the fuel that bring long-term success, and this was my case. I would say that I'm a good example of the fact that age is not a barrier to growth.
Yes.
Constant growth.
Yes.
I think that maybe this is also something that pertains to our profession, but domain knowledge and interdisciplinary knowledge are both equally important.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that careers cannot be entirely planned. You always have to leave your creativity and your instincts open to unexpected things and be prepared for that. And maybe that's actually the path to extraordinary growth. This is what I think is the quintessence of my journey, and I'm continuing it because age is not a barrier to growth.
Of course, yes. I believe you. And I will remember that. Please watch this over and over and over and over again, because there is a lot to learn from Her Excellency, Simona-Mirela Miculescu.
Correct.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart. On behalf of our listeners, we would like to thank you for gracing this occasion today, Your Excellency. Bye for now.
All the best. Bye.
Okay. Oh, ma'am, wait. Recording stopped. Hold on. Cancel. And okay. Stop.